In this video, I'm going to be going through 26 trading lessons I'm taking into 2026. Now there's a lot, so let's get into it. Number one, understand your strategy variables. See, your strategy will have variables based on context. And what you need to do is create if this, then that frameworks to help you approach your strategy based on the context you have. To help you learn these variables, you need to journal extensively. Number two, trade what you can control, not what you can't. As a trader, we can never catch the whole move. So you always need to trade what you can control. And for example, if there's a resistance level above and that is your take profit, take your profit there. Because if you're trying to get anything past that point, that's gambling. Because at the end of the day, we have no way of knowing if that resistance level will break or not. So we can only trade what we can control and what we can't based on the levels that we're given prior to the trade. Number three, context above all strategies. I fell into this time and time again, and I made a recent video on it, but essentially you can have a strategy that has very good components and it's a good strategy at its core. But the problem is if you don't apply context to each and every time you take a trade based on that strategy, you're bound to be unprofitable. Context is the base of all trades and needs to come first, as it will lay the foundations on how to manage that singular trade, even if it's the same strategy. Number four, patience with all things trading. Now, you need to understand that this journey will take time, so you need to be patient and you need to be resilient. But not only that, you need to be patient for each trade you take and wait for that setup to come. Number five, choose a trading strategy based in logic. Now, just think about this for a second. I feel like when I first started trading, I just chose a silly strategy, whether it's a candlestick pattern, because you're new, right? You're just choosing it because you're listening to what you heard online from some guru, and it can be quite messy at the beginning, right? But you have to go to the basics and really understand. Your strategy has to be based in logic because the markets move based on logic. If there's more buyers in the market, we're going to be bullish. If there's more sellers in the market, we're going to be bearish. It's not some weird mix of things that just makes price move. Price moves based on logical reason, and oftentimes if it's overly emotional, it can be a signal as well, right? Because it's all logical. What I'm trying to say is you need to base your strategy on logic. For example, I use the tape because it shows the exact buyers and sellers in the market, and it's based on logic and the truth behind those candles. I use a 50% level because that's a discount level. And in logic, if price moves heavily in one way and retraces 50%, people see that as like a discount, right? They're getting in at a lower price for it to continue up. That's logical and it's based in logic, and so it makes sense. But if you just choose these arbitrary trading strategies, you're likely to fail because they're not based in logic. Six, discipline in all things trading. The discipline to show up every day is one thing, but the discipline to journal and journal correctly, or the discipline to follow your rules in a trade, is a whole nother ballgame. Seven, fall in love with the process. Again, this journey is such a long journey and there's so many ups and downs, and you need to fall in love with bettering your trading and the skill itself every day, otherwise you won't last. 8, focus on 1% improvements. You need to focus on little things, one thing at a time. Now, it may not impact your P&L right away, but they will compound to a huge difference, then result into a positive P&L. 9, refine your strategy. Don't be afraid to change something in your strategy. Most traders that are successful adapt to the market and market context and market sentiment. Sometimes as new traders, we really want to commit to one strategy, which is great and it's good to do, but don't be afraid to change or refine this strategy, because oftentimes you need to do that to stay in the game and become profitable. And the best traders out there are ones who are able to adapt to different markets. If something isn't working, journal your trades, review your trades, and see if you can refine it to improve your trading. 10, journal better. Now, as a new trader, I journaled every single trade, which was great, but it was like this robotic thing of just getting it done and making sure I was doing it. But I wasn't then going back and reviewing them and again, refining them, right? And making sure I was journaling things that would help me refine it. For example, I should have been journaling the market context of the day and I guess my bias for the day, which would help me understand if my bias was wrong, was I reading context incorrectly. I need to journal more in depth, but not only that, make sure you're reviewing it weekly. I felt as a new trader, I would journal my singular trades, but then never really look back and just hope that I was going to improve. Make sure you're reviewing them weekly, not monthly, weekly, and Doesn't mean you have to refine things weekly, but just making sure you're understanding what's working, what's not, what you may need to improve on so you can really excel and improve fast. 11, don't overmanage your trades. Now, this is an interesting one because not everyone struggles with this, but you have to understand your strategy. Some strategies may not need a trailing stop. You may not need multiple take profits. It might be as simple as taking the trade, setting a stop loss, and setting a take profit, and that's it. You need to understand your strategy and make sure you're not overmanaging trades based on that strategy. How do you know that? Journaling once again. 12, recognize your triggers. You can't stop your emotions. You can't trade without emotion. We are human. What you can do is understand what triggers those bad and negative emotions and affects your trading, and either build your strategy around it, which I recommend because you want to build a strategy based on your strengths, not your weaknesses. And 2, set rules to help you avoid those triggers. If you know after 3 losses for the day, you're unlikely to come back in a positive mood and be able to perform well, then maybe 3 losses should be your max loss for the day. Which brings me to number 13. Implement a daily stop. This will prevent you from overtrading each day and keep you in the game long enough to improve at the skill and hopefully become profitable. Number 14, focus on the fundamentals. Knowing the fundamentals of how markets move will help you understand how to read context. It'll help you understand how to read sentiment. It will also help you understand where you may need to refine your strategy. 15, understand the session you trade. Now, this one took me a little while to really grasp as a new trader, but essentially different sessions will have different volumes and have different ways of acting. Now, my session, if it tends to be in a range in my session, it's unlikely to break out of this range within my session until New York open. So I've used this in a way to approach my trading each and every day when it comes to my session. If it's in a range, I don't expect it to break out. I'm not waiting for that breakout trade because it's not going to happen in my session. It's likely to happen in New York. 16, and I still struggle with this one, is self-control not to trade. We all want to learn faster. We all want to keep trading because we think it's going to, the more practice we get in, it's going to mean that we're going to become profitable quicker. It just doesn't work that way, and often slower is better in trading. Have the self-control not to trade when you're unwell or you're not fit to be trading. See, the thing is I'm from a working class family. All I ever knew was if you were sick, you'd push through, you'd go to work because you wanted to be that reliable worker. But the problem is with trading, it just doesn't work that way. You're unable to perform like that. 17, don't obsess over winners, obsess over losers. Now, oftentimes as novice traders, we obsess over the winners because they make us feel good. But at the beginning, we need to eliminate the things we're doing wrong. We need to obsess over why we are taking losing trades, because at the end of the day, to become profitable, we need to get that win to loss ratio in balance. And to do that, oftentimes it means to eliminate the bad trades, over trading, the chase trades, whatever it may be for you. At the end of the day, you need to eliminate the losers first and obsess over why they're losers, because sometimes it could just be an execution error or you being impatient and not quite waiting for the setup to occur. And you need to understand that. So obsess over the losers, not the winners. 18, be objective. You can't be biased or prideful towards yourself. You need to understand how to be harsh and look at yourself and take accountability for the mistakes you might be making. You need to always look at trades from both sides and understand when you have performed poorly. Avoiding is also profiting. You need to protect, one, your capital as a new trader, but also your mental capital. If you are beating down your confidence because you're taking loss after loss after loss, again, slower can often be faster in the game of trading. You need to give your mind a break. You need to understand what's going to work for you, and you need to understand that just trading more won't automatically mean you're going to profit sooner. You need to protect that. You need to protect your capital so you can stay in the game long enough. You also need to protect your mental capital, because if you beat your confidence down too far, you're going to push yourself to a point of wanting to quit. Now, this also links into trading a market that makes sense to trade. If the market is behaving in such a way where it's not a high probability that you're going to get some good trades out of that day, don't trade. Avoiding that day, avoiding trading that day will profit, because you're going to be avoiding the losses that you shouldn't be taking. 20, execution is the thing that takes time. Now, this one, it took me to fall in love with the process to really understand and connect more with my trading, I guess. And I guess what I'm trying to say is learning the methods and strategies isn't what takes time. And I felt when I first started trading, that's all I focused on, was like learning what the market does. And that's great, but I spent too much time doing that, because what really impacted my growth was me focusing on what I needed to do to execute that strategy and how to execute it at its highest level. And that takes practice, it takes repetition, and it takes time and experience. And that's the thing that takes time in a trading journey. It's not consuming all this content around how to trade, trading strategies, and all these different ways to read the market. It's about just committing to that strategy and learning the nuances and getting connected with it and understanding how to execute that at its highest performance. 21, don't size up too quickly. I have heard this one before, but the problem was I was like, oh, I'll size back up because I've traded that size before. It wasn't going to affect me. This is wrong. No matter when you are increasing your size, even if you've traded that size before, you need to work up to it, because it will cause you to trade emotionally because you're just not quite used to it. Just like going to the gym, right? When you're exercising all the time, you go to the gym, you don't feel anything, and then you take a break and then you try and go back to the gym and lift those same weights, you struggle because you're just not used to it. You need to give your body time and your mentality time to adapt. So even if you traded that size before, slowly increase it so you don't trade emotionally. 22, there is no destination. There's a point in your journey that you realize that there's no destination in trading. There's no point in which you have patience or have discipline or have the skill of trading, and it's all smooth sailing from there. You don't have that in trading. It's about balancing those things constantly. It's like you're holding all these plates. I don't know if you've seen the spinning plate man, where you've got multiple plates spinning on a stick and you have to balance them, but you have to keep making sure they keep spinning. It's not like you get it up and they just keep spinning on their own. You have to maintain it. And there is no destination. There's no point where you become a profitable trader and it's all easy and you don't have to put effort in anymore. And I could imagine there's traders out there that are unlike me, where they are profitable, but they become profitable and they get complacent, and 3 months of being profitable, they're not profitable again. And it's not because they can't trade, but because they're not maintaining their skill and they're not staying at their highest game, because you think that there's a destination. You think once you're profitable, that's all you need to do. And it's just not the case. There's no destination in this game. It's a constant battle of performance. Again, just like an athlete, if you run really good and a fast time and then you have a break, you're not going to be able to run that time as you come back. You need to maintain that fitness. You need to maintain that performance. 23, health comes first. Now, I really struggled with this, and only recently I've really turned it around, because I was focusing on my full-time job, YouTube, trading, and all these things. You put aside exercise, you put aside your health, and it's the biggest mistake you'll ever make, because your performance will depend on your health. Again, it's that fundamental level that you need to keep well so you can truly perform at your best. It is so important to not put aside your health. It must come first. 24, and this won't come at a shock, trading is like being an athlete. Trading is a competitive sport, except instead of competing with other people, you're competing with yourself. And you need to understand, again, how to balance all those things. Understand that you can't run a mile on a broken foot. You need to understand when to take rest. You need to understand when to push yourself. And this takes time, practice, repetition, and resilience, and all the things I've already listed. It's a sport, and it's about maintaining it. It's about constantly working on those 1% improvements, or at least maintaining the fundamental success that you have had. And just understanding when sometimes pushing yourself can still impact you negatively. And it's just so important how to know how to balance everything so you can perform at your best. 25 is stop beating yourself up. When I first started, I would always beat myself up. If I had a bad day or I overtraded, I just remember being in the shower and I would just be depressed and I would be beating myself up and going, I should know better and all of this stuff. And that is such a waste of energy, guys. You need to focus on what you can do to improve. Stop beating yourself up. You're new at this. It's a hard sport. It's a hard skill. You need to take the time to get better at this sport or skill, whatever you want to call it. Right? You need to take the time to focus on how to improve. Stop beating yourself up, be resilient, be strong, and focus that energy and channel it into what you can do to improve yourself so you don't have to feel that way. 26, don't underestimate the time and effort it takes to become a profitable trader. Now, this should be obvious based on all of the lessons that I've said already, but it will always take more than you think. I tried to keep myself humble when I first started this trading journey because I was like, okay, you know, I feel like I'm pretty in touch with myself and I can be objective and all of these things, and I've got discipline. It's always going to need more discipline than you expect. You're always going to need more patience than you expect, and you're always going to need more time and effort for this journey. And if you come into this journey understanding that, it won't be such a shock, or you won't beat yourself up because you haven't made it yet. And what you'll be able to do is start focusing on just enjoying that journey, because you're not so worried about the destination that doesn't exist or your performance or why you're not there yet. It'll allow you to actually improve much faster and just enjoy the process and the art and the skill of trading. It takes a huge amount of time to become profitable, and if you understand that and focus on the 1% improvements, you will make it. I look forward to building my knowledge in this new year, and I hope you guys are willing to do it with me as well. So subscribe if you like the video. If you enjoyed this video, I do have this series here, basically where I'm journaling my way to profitability. Or if you want to kind of know a bit more on how I actually trade and what strategies I use, this video here is about how I actually read the tape when it comes to my trading strategy. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye.